Hey guys, welcome to the Seven Figure Box podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and today we're going to be talking about why the class comes first at CrossFit Palm Beach. And the class comes first is one of our 6 core values that we have at CrossFit Palm Beach, and it's the one that I find myself using the most. It's the one that I find to be the most actionable for all types of decisions within the business. So I wanted to share that with you guys today for a couple reasons. And the first and foremost reason being that if you have core values or you're going to set core values, which I would highly recommend doing, they don't need to be these super high level in the clouds, like vague ideas. You know, most core values at most businesses are things like integrity and commitment and honesty. And there's nothing wrong with having values like that. Those are great values to have, but a lot of those values are the same values at our gym as they are for the local coffee shop, as they are for Whole Foods or Microsoft. And there's nothing in there that really differentiates you or your business. There's nothing that your team can really wrap their heads around that makes them feel like they're a part of something different. So I really like the class comes first as a core value because it is very actionable in a lot of ways. And we're going to go through some of the ways that we've made it actionable in our business. So it can really outline some of the biggest and smallest decisions, from hiring and firing to equipment purchases to new program offerings, and we'll cover a lot of those things in this podcast. And then I also want to show this core value because I want to encourage other gyms out there to define who they are and stay true to who they are. And there's nothing wrong with having an open gym style of gym, or to run a competitor focused gym, or to run an OPEX style gym. There's nothing wrong with those things, but define who you are and stay true to who you are. And you can use your core values like the class comes first to help your members and your coaches and remind yourself of what you're trying to prioritize within your business. So for us at CrossFit Palm Beach, Tony and I started the business because we love the group classes. We take classes almost every single day at our gym, and many days we'll double up and do CrossFit and Beach Fit in the same day. So you can find us usually in 30 plus classes a month. And then our group classes, if we were to do our breakdown, they account for more than 80% of our monthly revenue at CrossFit Palm Beach. So just knowing kind of our inspiration for starting the gym, knowing where the numbers are of what's financially supporting our business, you know, it's stupid for us to not value something that's the bread and butter of our business, okay? So I want to cover some of the examples of how we implement this on day-to-day decisions, and where the class comes first really becomes a guiding light for us in a lot of ways, okay? So number one thing is, as a coach, it gives us the ability to focus our attention in the right place. And for our coaches, when I'm on the floor, I want to be spending 99.9% of my energy engaging with the members of that class specifically, okay? So if I'm teaching an 8 o'clock class and we're somewhere between 8 a.m. and 8:59, 99% of my energy needs to go into those people that are physically in that class, right? Not just the people that are in the gym at that time, not just the people that are foam rolling on the side, or the people that are doing extra work or personal training. Those people are not my focus. My focus is in 100% on the people that are in my class in that moment. And if there's someone who shows up early for the 9 a.m. class and they're foam rolling on the side, I might say hi to them. I will probably smile, give them a fist bump, give them a high five. I'll acknowledge them, but I'm quickly going to turn my attention back to the class, because those are the people that I'm focusing my attention on for that hour. And then as soon as 9 o'clock hits, my attention shifts to the next 15 to 20 people that are coming into that next class. And that's how I'm able to kind of stay focused in a class, and that class comes first helps to guide our other coaches to do the same. Okay, so when someone's off lifting on the side and they're dropping weights, someone's doing a personal training session and they need a certain area of the room, someone's trying to do assault bike sprints and they're being too loud, we know as coaches that we have the ability and the responsibility to talk to those people and to tell them that, hey, they have to quiet down, or they have to wait a couple minutes until we're done explaining something, or they're going to need to go outside and lift outside and drop weights outside so they're not interrupting the classes. And by having the class comes first as a clear core value, it equips us and our team to be able to make that step to telling people, how they can move themselves around the classes and prioritize the classes instead of the class doing that for them. Okay? Another big one for us is equipment purchases. So we use the class comes first to guide a lot of our most recent equipment purchases. We've actually sold off a lot of equipment that we already had because we realized how it was screwing up our priorities or affecting the class experience. So we recently sold off one-off pieces of equipment like jerk blocks. We had a worm that we sold. We had a yoke in here. We had these portable squat racks. And we sold a lot of them because none of them were being used in classes. And while it seems insignificant, if you're holding on to those things, if they're taking up space in your facility, it shows that you're not prioritizing the class experience. And I think a lot of owners out there they're not valuing their floor space enough. Okay, floor space is a premium. And even if you're not using jerk blocks, even if you're not using a yoke, even if it's technically stored away off to the side, that's square footage. That might be a 5x5 space, 10x10 space that you could be using in your classes to accommodate more people, to do more variety in your programming. So just by having these things and taking up space, it definitely can affect the quality of the class experience. Another thing that's kind of similar to that is just general cleanliness and organization and the first impressions that you're giving to new members and your regular members every single day. And this is a big one for coaches and owners out there of like, where is your food, right? If you have food that you made, don't have that out in the open for everyone to see. If you have a bag where you have your knee sleeves and your lifters, like put that in a back closet somewhere, put that in the cubbies the same way the members would. Get that out of the way. Don't have your stuff out, and lead by example in that way. And the class comes first is also thinking about the entire member experience as a whole from the time they walk in, and making sure that we're doing our part in every way possible to make sure that that class experience is great, and sacrificing on our end, right? It would be more convenient for us to have our bag out with our lifting shoes right there and our knee sleeves and all that, and the tape and everything. But we're willing to walk a little further, go into a back closet to get our stuff because we realize the class comes first and we always want that experience to be as good as it possibly can be. Hiring is another one that we use this value for. And just real simply, when we're hiring, we look for coaches that are going to look forward to taking classes every single day at CrossFit Palm Beach. Right? I've touched on it earlier that Tony and I do that all the time. And I touch on it in a separate episode 7, on why I take classes every day, if you guys want to dive deeper into the why behind it. But basically, having that as a core value is a reminder for us when we go to hire that we want people that are invested in the class experience and love taking classes just as much as we do. We also incentivize and reward our members and our coaches with this core value. And specifically, we do it through what we call the Committed Club, which is another podcast that I did, episode 4, if you want to dive into that. But we recognize our members for prioritizing the classes and coming to classes 15 times in a month. That gets them to the Committed Club, and they get handwritten postcards. They can win raffle prizes. They're given free t-shirts if they make it for the entire year for a given year. Same with our coaches. We incentivize our coaches to prioritize the classes and show up to at least 15 classes every month. And we give each of our coaches a $30 retail credit whenever they hit those 15 classes in a given month. And just a quick side note on that, if you're listening to this prior to 2019, I would highly recommend starting the Committed Club now. It works great if you start it right at the beginning of the year and do it for a full calendar year. And if you're interested in that, check out that episode 4 about the Committed Club. And then the final way that we use the class comes first for decisions is when we're deciding about new auxiliary programs that we may or may not want to add. So in the past, we've had things like competitors programs and weightlifting programs that have created just little ridges in the culture where it's definitely affected the class experience of our bread and butter, which is our CrossFit and Beach Fit classes. And now we're really resistant to new programs because we're just cautious of how that could potentially affect the class experience, and the class always comes first. So when we look to add new services, we're always trying to add something that's definitely not going to take away and is going to add to that class experience. So things like nutrition coaching has added value to our classes. Things like retail and apparel, that adds value to the classes. Personal training and personalized programming can add value to classes. In most cases, it takes away from it. But if you think about it the right way, it's possible that these things can add value to the classes. So one example that we just instituted recently, we just launched this last week, is we're going to be doing a service at our gym where members can get now a personal coach. And that personal coach is going to do monthly skill sessions with them. They're going to give them monthly accessory work. They're going to give them modifications and scales that they can use in the group classes to get more out of their group classes. And that's all going to be done through True Coach. But basically with that service, we know going into it when we launch this that the only way this is going to work is if everybody stays in the classes. So we're being very clear that members and coaches who are providing this service they have to keep everyone in the classes, and that everything that's going to be done in addition to that to reach these specialized goals that people have is going to be done outside of classes. Okay, and then part of the conversation with people that want to participate in this, members, is that they have to be respectful of classes, and even though they're paying for this additional service, they have to always realize that the class comes first. So I do want to point out with this core value and any core value, we're not perfect with this. Okay, so when it comes to people dropping weights during a class or people doing assault bike sprints and things like that are disruptive to class, we're not imperfect. We definitely try to do our best to minimize that and prioritize the class, but I don't want you guys to feel like you have to be perfect in this area. There's going to be times where things kind of slip through the cracks, and you can kind of create policies to prevent certain things from happening. But as long as you're more often than not telling people to be respectful of classes, and that the people in the classes feel like they're the priority, then you're on the right track. And then the last thing I want to leave you with is just a little personal opinion here, and something that really kind of underlies this core value is I feel very strongly that what has made the CrossFit movement so strong and allowed it to grow so fast is the nature of the CrossFit group class experience specifically. So I don't think it's the nature of the workouts and how hard they are, or the fact that there is a sport built around CrossFit, the CrossFit Games. Although I don't think those things hurt either. But I think the most important part is that most people have fallen in love with CrossFit because of the community aspect that it creates. And I think when we choose to own or coach or even be a member at a CrossFit gym, especially one that's group class centered like ours is, we have a responsibility to the group class. Okay, we need to contribute more to that group class than we take away from it. And we need to take classes regularly. We need to give our all to every class that we coach and be present, fully present with every class that we coach, and not the people that are hanging around that class. And when we do our own programming, or we're disruptive to classes, or we're coaching and we don't invest fully in that class, then we take advantage of the community aspect of CrossFit that CrossFit helps to create without feeding back into it in a way that will ensure that community will be there tomorrow. And it's selfish in that way. So you may disagree with that, or you simply may have a different vision for your own gym, and that's okay. But if that idea resonates with you, then I encourage you guys to own that and make it a part of your culture.